At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu. At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Hello, everybody. Here we go. Happy Friday. It's that time again. Matt Connarton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious, a little slippery downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. And you can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is a Friday, February 4, 2022. Now, I do want to remind you all, of course, that we are proudly sponsored by the Hop Knot. However, don't go there today. They are closed because of the weather. The weather outside is frightful. I know we usually say that well, no, that's not necessarily a Christmas song, is it? Actually, we hear it with Christmas music, but I guess it could really be Let It Snow. It could be for any day of winter. Although personally, I'm not a fan of the snow or of the winter, but the Hop Knot is closed today. And I'm sure they'll be open tomorrow. Although, if you are local here in Manchester, the snow emergency is continuing tonight. So try to get your cars off of the street so you don't get towed away. But yeah, it's so the Hop Knot is closed, but I assume they'll be open all weekend. Of course, they've got the delicious gourmet pretzels. They have an assortment of craft beer. They have Thursday nights, they have trivia night hosted by the great Bill Cini, who also does trivia on the morning show. And great place. They've got the Gender Blender event coming up this weekend. Oh, wow. Actually, that's tomorrow, February 5th. That'll be tomorrow night. So hopefully the weather's good. I think, everything should be cleaned up by morning. So, yeah, if you're local here in Manchester, I can tell you coming here, I didn't have a problem getting here, but I don't have far to go either. I mean, door to door, I can be here in under 10 minutes. And actually I've done it in as little as 5 minutes if I get lucky and it's all green lights coming here. But the roads are a bit greasy, I would say. And I had to scrape some ice off of the car, but I was fortunate. So I left early just in case I ran into trouble or if I had to go really slow. And I did go somewhat slowly, but I got here, I parked the car, and then right after I parked, and I'm heading, from the car to the building here, the freezing rain started up again. So it's like, my timing was perfect. I got here just in time to avoid the freezing rain. So there you go. So everybody locally here or wherever you are, this is a big storm. So actually, wherever you're listening from, there's an excellent chance that you're dealing with this current storm system. But I hope everyone is safe and sound. And, by the time I leave here tonight, because it's Friday, so it's my long day here at WMNH. Not that I mind. I love it. But because tonight we have Retro Spectrum Radio at 7:30. But by the time I leave here tonight, things should be pretty well cleaned up, I would hope. And we'll see. But yes, Retro Spectrum Radio returning live tonight at 7:30 p.m., hosted by the great Paulie C. And I have the honor and privilege of being one of Paul's co-hosts on that show every Friday night from 7:30 to 10 p.m. But Paul wasn't here last couple of weeks. He was out with the COVID. So he does return tonight, healthy and happy, and really looking forward to that. It might be just the two of us. We're not sure. We're typically also joined by Dan Randlett and DJ Steve, but with road conditions being hazardous, we're not sure either of them will be here. Where Dan lives, he's further out. He's kind of on the edge of Manchester, so it's a little more of a drive for him. Like I said, for me to get here is not too difficult. And Paul, if I'm not mistaken, lives really close. So for him, it's very easy. But for Dan, it's a little trickier, and I'm not sure about DJ Steve. But Nemi in the chat room says only 44 days until spring. All right. I think to me, it's even less. And I'll tell you why. And if my dad's listening, he'll appreciate this. So growing up, my dad told me that he liked to think of winter, and it's just a psychological thing, but he likes to think of winter as being only 2 months long, January and February, and that's it. Because if you think about it, most of December is actually still fall. And then, it's really just the last week of December that's winter. So then you've got January and February to contend with. But then once you get to March, depends on the year. Some years it warms up right away and it gets really nice. And some years winter just kind of continues. Sometimes March will be every bit as wintry as February was. But, even if winter just continues into March, you don't care at that point because you know that any day now spring's going to show up, right? So he's always thought of spring as being March 1st. March 1st is the first day of spring. And I have adapted that as well. So I also think of it that way. March 1st is the first day of spring. So in my mind, spring is really, I'm not good at math, 24 days away, 23 days away. Only a few weeks, really. So we're almost there. It's almost spring. That's how I think of it. That's how my dad thinks of it. So there you go. And the winters here have gotten easier, it seems like, than when I was a kid. This hasn't been a terribly bad one. I mean, we've had some very cold days here, but we've also had some very mild days here, and really not a lot of snow. It's been more ice than snow, which in some ways is worse. But if you'd like to give me a call today, of course, 603-250-6007 is the number, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connarton or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can opine and interact in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we may hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. Would love to hear from you on this afternoon. A couple of programming notes coming up today. At the top of the hour, around 5 p.m., we will share with you Eric Pilcher's classic film review. And this week he has reviewed In the Heat of the Night, which I'm excited about. I've already listened to it. It's very good. The review is excellent. Eric does a great job, which is why it's become such a popular segment on the show. But one of my top 5, easily in my top 5 all-time favorite movies. I love In the Heat of the Night. Sidney Poitier as Tibbs and Rod Steiger as Gillespie, just perfection. If you've never seen it, you owe it to yourself to see it. And if you haven't seen it and you're on the fence about it, perhaps Eric's review of the film will convince you. But Jenny and I watched it a year or two ago. She had never seen it. She had only seen the show. I've probably seen the movie 7 or 8 times. I just absolutely love it. So that will be the classic film review coming up at 5 p.m. And Eric is, for the month of February, he has chosen films specifically that he feels are appropriate for Black History Month. I know one of them coming up is Menace to Society, and the other one is 12 Years a Slave, were 2 that he mentioned to me in a message that he's going to be reviewing this month. So we look forward to that. So that will be coming up today at 5 p.m. Of course, tonight from 7 to 9 p.m., Jenny is on The Charles Richardson Show, as she is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7 to 9. And as I mentioned right here at WMNH will be Retro Spectrum Radio from 7:30 to 10 p.m. And like I said, I'm glad I won't have to go anywhere until, later when hopefully the roads are clear and sanded and salted and everything. But they've done a good job here. They've done a good job. So lots going on. One other quick programming note, and then we'll move on to some stuff. But I did share out a little bit ago. Last night, I was making my monthly appearance on the Dr. Kevin Show. The first Thursday of every month, as soon as I get done here, I call into his program, and we chat for an hour from 6 to 7 p.m. the first Thursday of the month about politics. We just kind of, in many cases, it's just a continuation of whatever I was discussing here. So I did share the archive of that out. So if you missed it, that is up and available. So, if you need a little bit more, if you want an extra hour of Matt Connarton in your life, that's the way that you can get it. So, and one other thing too, by the way, if you were listening to the weekly Die-On here last night at WMNH, they announced it on my show too. They came in early and we chatted about it a bit, Ben and Daryl Die-On. They are ending their show for now. So that was the final weekly Die-On here at WMNH 95.3, at least for now. I would not be surprised if it comes back in the future. And, they're leaving on really good terms. There's no issues or anything like that. It's just Ben is so busy. He's got so much going on, both professionally and, he and his wife have a adorable young son, Lincoln. So, he's got a lot of irons in the fire. So he's going to step away from the show for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back. Or if not here at WMNH, maybe it resumes as a podcast where he's not committed to a strict broadcasting schedule or something like that. But, sorry to see those guys go, but I have a feeling they'll be back. And of course, they're always welcome to pop in on this program. So, although I don't think anybody will be popping in unexpected today, it's funny, I'm looking out at Elm Street here, and there's barely any traffic at this point. Like I said, I think I kind of dodged a bullet with my timing when I came in today. It was wise of me to get here a little bit early. But let me give the number again, and then I want to say hello to everybody in the Facebook live chat, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Eric Pilcher. Eric, we were just talking about you, of course. Well, you heard that because you're listening. Eric with his classic film review. He is also in the Facebook live chat, joining us all the way from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And he said, now this is in reference to the end of the morning show. I usually start the Facebook live feed a few minutes early. So those of you who tune in on the Facebook, you end up getting the tail end of the morning show. Of course, the morning show with Peter White, weekdays from 7 to 9 a.m. with the replay from 2 to 4 p.m. right before this show. And Eric, it seems, was responding to, and we did play it the other day on this show too. Actually, it was yesterday, the duet, which it's only a matter of time until this is charting in Billboard. The duet of Glenn R.J. Willett and Meatloaf doing 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad. And I'll tell you, the two of them together, wow. I mean, just, what else can you say, really? I told Glenn afterward, I played it yesterday. I said, Glenn, that was something. He really puts his heart into it. Eric, I'm not sure, cared for it as much. He said, because they also played it at the end of the morning show. That's where Eric heard it. And he said, listening to this, I now know what it sounds like when an animal is neutered without being put out, LOL. Well, that's, that's one interpretation, maybe in addition to a classic film review, maybe we should get Eric to review all of the music of Glenn R.J. Willett, the People's Mayor. Jenny joins us in the chat, of course, and says, Shalom, peeps. Easy G, Eric Gagnon joins us and says, I hope you are feeling better. I'm not sure who you're talking to, Easy G, but whoever it is that is ill, I hope you're feeling better. And so does Eric. Eric Gagnon also says, it's Brock Lesnar Friday. I didn't realize that. Wow. Happy Brock Lesnar Friday, everybody. We got a lot going on in February around here. We've got Black History Month. We have Valentine's Day. And apparently we have Brock Lesnar Friday. Very exciting. Nemi Jones joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hello, Nemi. She says, glad y'all are safe safe/dry. Yes, I'm happy to report it is both safe and dry here at WMNH, and I hope everyone listening is safe and dry. And if you are driving, and of course there are people listening to this while they drive during their afternoon commute, I hope you are being very, very careful. Eric Pilcher says, I'm freezing, Nemi. Apparently in Iowa, it is also wintry. Eric says it's currently 8 degrees, -12 wind chill. Yikes. Mike Palapita joins us in the chat. Mike, of course, from another one of our great sponsors here at WMNH, Queen City Cabinetry in the historic Sunbeam Mall. Hello, Mike. Also, Rocky Huber joins us and says, what's up, family? Nemi says, it's still coming down here. Was a great day to curl up with Coco and Futurama and slog through some reports. Futurama, that's a show I haven't seen in a long time. That's not still in first run, I assume. Maybe it is. I don't know. Futurama, it seems like, if memory serves, that's one of those shows that got canceled and then brought back and then canceled again, and maybe it ended up on another network or something. I might be wrong. And Nemi likes the dulcet tones, of course, yes. Charles Richardson also now using that on the Charles Richardson Show. Let's see. Eric Pilcher says, again, this is regarding in the heat of the night. Sidney Poitier not getting a nomination for Best Actor is a crime. That surprised me. I didn't even realize that, Eric, until I was listening. You know, I always preview the film review. And I did not realize that until today, that he wasn't even nominated. That is a crime. I'm curious if Rod Steiger was. They both should have been. Wayne Noel from the great state of Michigan says, afternoon all. Hello, Wayne. Tom Blanchard joins us in the chat. Tom says, I love it when my neighbor can't get up his driveway, so he parks his giant van directly across my driveway so that I couldn't get out, even if I wanted to. Well, Tom, I would say your neighbor is quite rude. I wouldn't put up with that. I mean, I don't know what you should do about it exactly, but I wouldn't put up with that. Yeah, Eric Pilcher says, Rod Steiger won for Best Supporting Actor, but Sidney Poitier wasn't even nominated for Best Actor? That's crazy. Wow, I did not realize that, and that is stunning to me. That is stunning. Let's see. We've got a few things. Jenny just sent me something. This is regarding Mike Pence. You might be familiar with Mike Pence, former vice president. This is from CNN. Pence says Trump is wrong to say then vice president had the right to overturn the 2020 election. You know, we've been learning more and more about this and what the plans were and these executive orders that were drafted to seize voting machines and this and that. And Trump recently, again, saying, I think at one of his rallies, was it the rally in Arizona, talking about how the vice president didn't do what he should have done to overturn the election, which is not to say, by the way, that Vice President Mike Pence could not have wreaked havoc. He could have. I mean, there seems to be, you know, there seemed to be various ideas that were being discussed about how Pence could really screw up the whole thing. For example, if Pence, and this would have triggered a constitutional crisis, right? Pence could have said, I refuse to acknowledge, or I refuse to certify the results. Certify might not be the right word. What would be the right word? Maybe it is certify. But I refuse to accept the results from these states, and the states would be the ones that Biden won, where maybe they had previously been won by Republican candidates and so forth, where maybe some people could be convinced that there was an issue, right, or some sort of irregularities. And if Pence could have said, I refuse to, until further review, I refuse to accept the delegates from these states, and therefore by refusing to acknowledge those, and therefore not certifying the election, he could have again, there's all kinds of theories, but he could have thrown the election to the House of Representatives, because if he refuses to acknowledge those delegates, neither candidate has 270. It goes to the House, and then the Republican-controlled House could have just all voted for Trump, and then that would be it. That's one possibility. There were several of them that apparently were being discussed and even drawn out in PowerPoint presentations. Of course, one of the more interesting ones to me, I remember conspiracy theorists at the time were really into this idea that the vice president would be presented with 2 envelopes. And I guess if he chose one envelope, Biden would be elected. But if he chose the other envelope, it would be Trump or something. And then he has a choice. I mean, the whole thing, even if there were a way to do this legally under the Constitution, the whole notion, think about the implications of that, right? What if Pence actually did have that power and he could have made that choice and it would have been legal? That would mean that after any election, the vice president, any presidential election, the vice president, whoever was the sitting vice president at the time, because they have to go and certify the election and preside over that, they could just pick, and you would have a single party rule for infinity, right? Because every administration, the vice president could just pick whichever candidate they wanted to win. And then, it's, the absurdity of it is boundless. But, but Trump doubles down. Eric Pilcher points out in the chat, he also said he would consider, at the Arizona rally this was at, I believe, he also said he would consider pardons for those that are prosecuted for taking part in the January 6th Capitol attacks. Yeah. There may be some growing discontent with Trump, though, among Republicans. We'll see, and maybe we'll get to that. I have something on that, but this is what, again, this is from CNN. Former Vice President Mike Pence called out his former boss by name today. Ooh, wow! It's almost like the former vice president finally finally got a little bit of courage. It's funny. He was willing to stand up to Trump and not try to manipulate the election, right? But then ever since then, he tiptoes around and, he's very afraid to, he says things, he soft pedals it. He says things like, what did he say at that one event? President Trump and I, we might never see eye to eye on the events of January 6th, but I'm so proud to have been his vice president and this and that, because he doesn't want to anger all the people who still support Trump, right? Even though, it's amazing. Pence, who wants to be president, and he wants to be president so badly that he has to thread this needle where, on the one hand, he can't admit Trump is right, because if he says, well, yeah, I probably should have done that. I guess I made a mistake. Oh, my bad. I should have given awarded the election to Trump. He can't say that, right? But he also can't do anything that's going to anger Trump too much, because he doesn't want to anger Trump's supporters. Because as I've been saying on the show, Trump, in my mind, is the presumptive nominee for 2024. He's almost certainly running. And if he runs, he will be the nominee. And he may be our next president again. Yikes. But so this is all possible. But watching, I feel sorry for Mike Pence. Watching him as he tries to thread this needle, look, they were, I know some people like to dispute, the severity of what happened on January 6th, but they were chanting, hang Mike Pence, right? So this guy, the former vice president, knowing that they were chanting, hang Mike Pence, knowing that they brought a guillotine, whether it was symbolic or whether they were actually going to use it, I don't want to have that argument again. But I'm just saying, this is fact. They did bring a guillotine. They were chanting, hang Mike Pence. And then watching Mike Pence have to, tiptoe around and try not to say anything too, I don't know, too critical of the events of that day and try to almost downplay it like it wasn't that big a deal after he and his family had to be whisked away for their own protection. You know, it's like, it's just so emasculating. Like what kind of a man would just act like, oh, you know, it was no big deal, as, you know, my family and I, you know, we could have been killed that day, but I don't want to upset my former boss or any of his supporters. So I'm just going to tread very lightly on this. I mean, you know, I mean, anatomically, that dude's got to be a Ken doll, right? So, you know, I've just lost, not that I had a lot of respect for him to begin with, but now at least he, you know, I don't know, maybe he had a testosterone injection or something, because apparently today he managed to actually say the words. Mike Pence actually said the words, President Trump is wrong, quote unquote. President Trump is wrong in claiming that Pence had the right to overturn the 2020 election on January 6, 2021. Well, hey, that's progress. That's progress. Usually he'd be like, well, you know, the former vice president and I, we don't necessarily see eye to eye, but my good God golly, was I proud to be his vice president. You know, that's usually what he would say. But, you know, he actually came right out and said, President Trump is wrong. I mean, that's, wow. I mean, look, the guy's never going to be president. I mean, there's a large swath of the Republican Party that has such an intense loathing for Mike Pence because he didn't even try to overturn the election for Trump. They're never going to support him. So what he should just, you know, he used to be a political talk radio guy. Did you know that? He used to, you know, before he was a politician, he worked in political talk radio. He was a conservative talk show host. He should just go back to that. Although I don't know if anyone would hire him. I don't know. Where does he go? Where does Mike Pence go? He has nowhere to go. I think his political career is over. They'll never accept him. You know, unless they all start turning on Trump, they're never going to accept Mike Pence. He is a villain to many Republicans. It says here, speaking at the Federalist Society Florida chapter's conference near Orlando, well, that sounds like a rollicking good time. Pence delivered his strongest response yet. Wait, let me just stop here for a second. How pathetic is it that him simply saying that Trump is wrong in claiming that Pence could overturn the election, that qualifies as his strongest response yet? Just saying, well, President Trump was wrong about that. That's his strongest response yet. That's the best. That's the best he can do. That's the most he dare muster, right? Anyway, Pence delivered his strongest response yet to Trump's ongoing efforts to relitigate the 2020 presidential election, calling it un-American to suggest one person could have decided the outcome. Ooh, is he calling President Trump un-American? No. He's just saying it's un-American to suggest that. He would not dare actually call Daddy un-American. He wouldn't go that far. Pence warned against conservatives who continue to insist the vice president can alter an election and said it could be a problematic position for Republicans in the next presidential contest. He said, quote, under the Constitution, I had no right to change the outcome of our election. And Kamala Harris will have no right to overturn the election when we beat them in 2024, unquote. Who's this we? There's no we here, Mr. Former Vice President. Pence's remarks come after Trump asserted on Sunday that his then vice president, quote, did have the right to change the outcome and could have overturned the election, unquote. Well, he's Mike Pence is just little by little. He's like I said, pretty sure he's a walking Ken doll, if you know what I mean. Let's see. Got some more great comments in the chat room. Let's look at those. But if you'd like to call in, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Nemi points out that's got to be tampering. That's been a discussion too. What Trump said at the Arizona rally about considering pardoning the January 6th rioters, I like to say insurrectionist, but some people get prickly about that. To me, I mean, I stand by that word, but out of deference for those who, don't want to hear that, I'll call them rioters. Anyway, yeah. So Trump said, what does Trump call them? By the way, he doesn't call them either, of course. What does he call them? Patriots? I don't know. Anyway, whatever Trump's, but he does say they've been treated very unfairly. He did say that they've been treated very unfairly because, apparently when you injure 140 police officers and you crush a Capitol police officer in a door and you poke someone's eye out and you, all of these things, you really, I mean, maybe a fine or something, right? I guess. Would that be okay with him, do you think? No, of course not. It was all in service to their messiah, Donald John Trump. But anyway, so him saying that he would consider pardoning them, couldn't that be construed as witness tampering? Or or hey, stick with me and I'll make sure you get a pardon when I'm president again. I don't know. Isaiah Aline joins us in the Facebook live chat. Isaiah, of course, the Illuminati candidate in 2024 for the presidential election. Now, if you're a regular listener, you know that he's invited me to be his Veep, and I will pledge right now that if Isaiah does become president and I am his vice president, I will not overturn, when we're running for our second term. If we lose, which I think is highly unlikely, I will not do anything to overturn the election. I will gracefully accept that we lost. But I think we're going to be, if I do accept his invitation and we run together, I think we will easily have 2 terms or more. Perhaps we'll refuse to leave and stick around for additional terms even. No, I'm kidding about that. No, we'll do 2 terms though. I have no doubt. Respect, Isaiah says. Yes, absolutely. Tom Blanchard says, there's something in the news about the voting machines were wrong. It cost $1 million to figure it out. Well, no, what you might have been hearing in the news, Tom, is, there were these executive orders that were drafted, but, Trump hit a couple of brick walls with that. One of them named Bill Barr, his attorney general, who said, you can't do this. And the other one, Ken Cuccinelli, who was running the Homeland Security, who said, you can't do this. But yeah, there were a couple of executive orders drafted that they would have either had the military seize the voting machines in states where Trump lost, or the National Guard in those individual states. And they would have gotten, in states with Republican governors, they would have tried to get those governors to have the Guard seize the voting machines, have the Justice Department seize the voting machines. There were a few different ideas here. And but these executive orders, they were drafted. We know they exist, but they were never acted upon because Trump was told no. I mean, Bill Barr, who certainly a Trump loyalist by all indications, but at the end, he got out of town early. Remember, he resigned. He didn't even want to stick around for the end of the administration. I think he saw what was coming. I don't mean he literally knew what was going to happen January 6th, but I think he saw trouble, and I think he got very uncomfortable and didn't want to finish his career that way. But he refused to toe the line on the big lie, as they call it, this election fraud thing. He came right out and said, look, there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud, certainly not on the scale that would alter this election in any way. He said there's nothing there. And that was coming from Bill Barr, very loyal to Trump. And like I said, Ken Cuccinelli, he wouldn't go along with this either. So Rocky Huber says, to appease both sides, I would have certified the election, but called for an investigation into the claims of voter fraud. Yeah, I mean, you could. Well, they have investigated voter fraud, and they have found some. For example, in the state of Pennsylvania, I think they found a whopping 4 cases of voter fraud. Oh, yes, they were Trump voters, in fact, who voted illegally in Pennsylvania. So, it does exist. Eric Pilcher says there is an undercurrent with Republicans that Trump cannot keep saying these things and that it is not going to help the party. Well, I hope that's true, Eric. I always wonder. I mean, polling data shows Trump is likely to be the nominee if he runs again. So I wonder where, where is the line? What is the limit for Republicans as far as what Trump can say and do, because every time it's like he says something and you go, okay, well, that's going too far. And yet he still continues to be the king of the Republican Party, right? He's still the most powerful Republican in the United States. Nemi in the chat says, LOL, Pence will never be president. That is true. He will not. Eric Pilcher says, there were investigations. Pence did exactly what he was supposed to do with the facts that he had. Absolutely. Nemi says, like Ted Cruz thanking the guy for insulting his wife, LOL. Oh, yeah, Ted Cruz, another living, breathing Ken doll anatomically. Ted Cruz, well, now, Ted had a flash, just like Pence had a brief flash of courage where he managed to stand up to Trump long enough not to go along with flipping the election. Ted Cruz had a brief flash of courage, too. When... there's one moment in time where I actually genuinely liked Ted Cruz, senator from Texas. There's one moment in time where I actually enjoyed watching him on television. It was during the 2016 Republican convention. He gets up, he gives his speech, but he never endorses Trump by name. And remember, this is after Trump said these terrible insults, these schoolyard insults, like, for example, calling Ted Cruz's wife, Heidi Cruz, insinuating on Twitter that she was ugly, which not only is that, just completely classless, but also, too, I've met Heidi Cruz. When I was Gary Hopper's co-host on Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades at that time, we couldn't get Ted Cruz on the show, but Heidi Cruz came and appeared on the show. And she seemed like a very nice person, delightful. And she's not ugly at all. Very attractive, really nice. We all enjoyed speaking with her. Obviously, I don't agree with her husband politically on many things, but I enjoyed our interview with her, and she just seemed like a really great person. And, I'm sorry, but she did not deserve to be called ugly by Donald Trump on Twitter, right? So Ted Cruz, he did that one thing where he said somebody in the media, he said, Donald, you leave my family the hell alone or something. And then he goes to the convention, he gives his speech, and I'm telling you, he knew what he was doing. I could see it in his face. The crowd is getting angry. As his speech goes on, the crowd is getting restless. They're getting impatient. It gets to a point where they're actually chanting. The crowd actually starts chanting, say his name, because Cruz wouldn't do it. He went right up to the line. It sounded like at the very end, he might actually do it, and he might say, and so I officially endorse Donald Trump for president. But he never quite does it. Even as this crowd, they're all chanting in unison, say his name, which isn't even the least bit cult-like, by the way, because some people get upset when I call MAGA a cult. I mean, I'm speaking hyperbolically. It's not a literal cult. It's not like Trump, hangs out wearing white robes and like David Koresh or something. And, it's not a literal, I'm being somewhat hyperbolic, but it does have certain cult-like features, shall we say? And that's one of them. When you've got an arena full of people chanting, say his name, that seems very culty to me. So anyway, but Cruz, in that moment, Cruz would not give in. He wouldn't do it. And I'm telling you, I could see it in his face. He was enjoying himself. He was enjoying not giving them what they wanted because they insulted his wife. Trump insulted his wife. Oh, I remember what the other thing was too now. Trump insinuated, I should say, that Ted Cruz's father, Rafael Cruz, helped murder JFK. That was the other thing. That one's, you almost can't get mad at that one because that's so bizarre. But to call Heidi Cruz ugly, that's really just extremely uncool and not appropriate. And Cruz wouldn't do it. He never said Trump's name during that speech, and he looked like he was enjoying himself. He kept walking right up to the line like he was going to do it, and he was playing with them. He was playing with the people in that crowd, and he was enjoying it. And I was enjoying watching him do that. I thought that was fun, and for that one moment, I actually liked Ted Cruz. Now, of course, though, we all know what happened next, right? So he does that. He gets out of there so he doesn't get strangled by these people who are chanting, say his name. Again, nothing cultish about that, right? Then he goes, and I think it was in the same building, actually. He goes to visit the Mercer family. Now, if you're not familiar with the Mercers, they're very powerful donors. A lot of money that they dole out for Republican campaigns. You know, Rebecca Mercer and family. Rebecca Mercer, the way the story goes, if I remember correctly, he goes to see them. Because you have to. You have to go see the Mercers if you're a Republican. You got to kiss their ring and then they give you a bunch of money, right? He goes to see Rebecca Mercer and she slams the door in his face. Not figuratively, literally, if the accounts are correct. She slams the door in his face because she was so angry that he would not say his name during the speech. So then what happens? Next thing you know, guess who's in love with Donald Trump? Ted Cruz, of course. Once he realized that he may have just self-immolated in front of the world, he had no choice. He had no choice. He had to suck it up. And he had to fall in love with Trump, just like the rest of them. And there you go. And so there was the emasculation of Ted Cruz, which does have certain parallels with the emasculation of Mike Pence. Thank you for reminding us about that, Nemi. Nemi says, electioneering, something my brain's tired today, but pardons for votes is. I don't know. I'm going to need to hear about your pony policies. Oh, yes. Well, I don't know. Maybe Isaiah can answer that for you, Nemi. Of course, I'm sure that, you know, whatever Vermin Supreme is proposing, we can propose something even grander. And Nemi says toothbrushing ought to be a law. On that, I agree. Nemi says there was a whole subdivision of elderly, sunburn-prone Republicans in Florida that got strung up for it, if I remember correctly. Oh, and there's an article there. I'll come back and look at that. By the way, Wayne Noel shared an article in the Facebook live chat as well about Michael Avenatti. Yeah, we might get to that today too. Apparently, Michael Avenatti has been convicted of fraud. You know, he represented Stormy Daniels. I thought Michael Avenatti at the time was in the early days of the Trump administration. I was sure that he was going to end up with his own show on MSNBC. He was on there like every night. And then he got into trouble. So he got into trouble for a couple different things. Not just Stormy Daniels and fraud, but there was also he tried to extort Nike or something for millions of dollars. Let's see. Nemi says it's like you're telling the story of Chris Cantwell, LOL. Cantwell, of course, also known as the Crying Nazi. Oh, Texas Mike joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hello, Texas Mike. And he says, so excited to see Brad Williams perform tonight in Boston at the Wilbur Theater. Very nice. Very nice. Oh, Nemi says he's hilarious. I assume referring to Brad Williams. Be super stoked. Have a great time. I can't quite place him, Brad Williams. The name's familiar, but it's kind of a generic sounding name, so of course it would be. I don't think I'm familiar with him. Let's see, what time do we have here? Oh, wow, time is flying by. So, Pence, that's, breaking with Trump a little bit to the extent that he's, to the extent that he dares. Let's say that. Let's see. There's, we've got a little bit of time left in the first hour. Oh, Michael Martineau says he's that, Michael uses the M word. I don't think we say that anymore, but, the little person, comedian. Oh, Isaiah is, clarifying something. He says, as for my pony policy, I'm planning on paying everyone nearly the price of a pony monthly on top of any benefits they already may receive. I got my current advisors, and we suspect $1,200 a month would be sufficient. Excellent. So it's like universal basic income, but pony-based. I like that. I like that. Yesterday on the Dr. Kevin show, I made reference to this, and then we ran out of time, and Jenny brought this up the other day, and we ran out of time, but it's a cool story. So I want to make sure we get this in before we hit the top of the hour and we get to Eric's classic film review. We've been talking a lot, obviously, about Russia and Ukraine, and, there's a lot to chew on there, of course. But the Russians, one of the provocative things that they were doing is they had drills scheduled, military exercises scheduled for off the coast of Ireland. And, we have people who listen online in Ireland, of course. And I am of Irish. I'm Irish and German. So I'm of Irish heritage. That's why I'm so pale. And so I thought this story was interesting. Jenny brought it up the other day and we never got to it, but I want to tackle it now. And it's kind of a cool story. It's a positive story. So these Irish fishermen, this time of year, they go and fish in the waters where the Russians were planning to have their military exercises. And the fishermen said, well, we're going, whether they're going to be there or whether they think they're going to be there or not. We've got mortgages to pay. We've got bills. We're going to make a living like we always do, and we're going to go fish. This is how we make our living, and we're not going to be pushed around by the Russians. We're a NATO country, damn it. We're going to go and fish. And the Russians actually backed down. So this is, here's the story from Defense One, defense1.com, how Irish fishermen took on the Russian fleet and won. Actually, we'll come right back to that. Let's grab this call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, it's Easy G.
Easy G, Eric Gagnon. How are you?
Yeah, I'm glad you made it to the studio in one piece because, boy, looking out my window here, everything's all ice.
Mm-hmm.
There's a car outside. It's a sheet of ice, the whole car.
The whole car is a sheet of ice?
Yeah, just when they thought the WWE couldn't get any more stupid, they're going to say, why don't we give Goldberg one more match against Roman Reigns?
I know, you hate it.
Does that seem like a good match to you, Matt?
You hate it when the old guys come back. It'll be a short match. Goldberg is...
An Elimination Chamber, Saudi Arabia.
Goldberg is 55 years old.
I know. He has one more match in his contract, I guess, so they figured they would give him a one more match. Does he really need one more match? I have to say no.
Well, he wants that big payday, I'm sure, and he is still a draw.
He wrestled against the big Bobby Lashley, and he hurt himself.
By the way, did you know? See, the thing is, we can make all the criticisms we want to, but the truth is, WWE, did you know they just had their most profitable quarter ever?
Yeah, I sent you that message, yeah.
Yes.
Facebook Messenger. Yeah, $1 billion.
Yep. Their deal with Peacock
It
apparently
must be because of all those wrestlers they fired.
Well, yeah, that helps. But also, a
lot of those guys girls didn't make a lot of money anyway.
Right, but their deal with Peacock also has apparently improved their viewership of their premium events, which of course used to be called pay-per-views, exponentially. They're doing
Goldberg is
phenomenal.
55 years old. It's time for him to retire permanently. I hope they don't give him another contract. I mean, couldn't they give it a match to somebody else?
He's a big star.
I don't know who, but
he's still a big star.
I know Drew McIntyre is kind of banged up with his neck, so maybe they were going to give it to him, but he's injured a lot. So,
well, wrestling fans, most of us anyway, you don't like it when the old guys come back, but most of us, we like a little bit of nostalgia. We like to see some old guys come back once in a while.
Yeah, there was a rumor that they said, let's give Undertaker one more match, but he's all done. The only reason he was there at the Royal Rumble because his wife, Michelle McCool, was in the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
I mean, they got another crazy match, too. Lita's going to fight Becky Lynch, so who do you think is going to win that match?
Lita versus Becky Lynch?
Lita hasn't wrestled a match in a ton of years.
Well, how old is Lita?
I think that Elimination Chamber is going to be a bust.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know Shane McMahon won't be in it.
Going to be a bust. Well, at least they're allowing some women to wrestle, because I know in Saudi Arabia they wouldn't allow WWE to have any women wrestlers come to town.
Yeah, they got to ease that in, I guess.
I guess that's a good sign. I know there's only one women's match.
Yeah, I think the last time they were in Saudi, they had one women's match.
But I wonder how much money Goldberg will have for that his return. I bet he makes a pretty penny.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean that's why he
does
it.
He will come back, for 10 cents on a dollar.
He's coming back for a big payday. No, those Saudi matches, the big names, they get like $1 million just to go have a match.
Anyways, I'll let you go. You got the movie review, so I'll let you go.
All right, Eric. Thank you for the call, my friend. All right, that is Easy G, our retired entertainment reporter. Let's see, before we run out of time on this segment. So this is from Defense One, how Irish fishermen took on the Russian fleet and won. The action illustrates how the private sector can help governments respond to Russian gray zone aggression. So it explains it. Whoop. Sorry, I just clicked something. What happened here? Let me get back to that article. I clicked something and then I clicked something else, and here we go. For months, years, in fact, the learned men and women in the corridors of Western powers have been putting their heads together to stop Russia from acting provocatively. Think tankers such as me, this is Elizabeth Bra who wrote this. She's a senior fellow at AEI. Think tankers such as me have written endless op-eds, reports, and books for the same purpose. We have, alas, been depressingly unsuccessful. A few days ago, another group altogether showed how it's done. When Russia announced its intention to conduct a naval exercise off the coast of Ireland, Irish fishermen came up with a deterrent so surprising and so powerful that the Russian Navy moved the exercise. We should learn from them. Last Sunday, the government of Ireland passed the word that starting on February 3, Russia would hold a naval exercise in Ireland's exclusive economic zone. Irish officials declared the exercise, quote, not welcome and not wanted, unquote, but had clearly been unable to convince their Russian counterparts to hold it elsewhere. Indeed, despite continuing to plead with Russia to move the exercise, noting, for example, the area's unique marine wildlife, the Irish government got nowhere. As Russia's ambassador to Ireland, Yuri Filatov, I'm sure I butchered that, said last week, quote, Yuri's a cool name, though. I like Russian names, Yuri. Yuri, Andrei, Vladimir. Vladimir, not so much because of Putin. Anyway, but Yuri, we'll just call him Yuri, said, quote, there is nothing to be disturbed, concerned, or anguished about, and I have extensively explained that to our Irish colleagues, unquote. The exercise was terrible news for Ireland's fishermen, who stood to lose 1 million tons of fishery, said Patrick Murphy, the chief executive of the Irish South and West Fish Producers Organization. Murphy told RTE Radio, quote, this is the livelihoods of fishermen and fishing families all around the coastline here. It's our waters. Can you imagine if the Russians were applying to go into the mainland of Ireland to go launching rockets? How far would they get with that? Unquote. Murphy said the fishermen would be making a coordinated effort to head off the Russian fleet. He said on January 25th, quote, "Our boats will be going out to that area on the 1st of February to go fishing. When our boat needs to return to port, another will head out, so there is a continuous presence on the water. If that is in proximity to where the military exercise is going, we are expecting that the Russian naval services abide by the anti-collision regulations," unquote. By constantly having their boats in the exercise waters, the fishermen would peacefully prevent the Russians from conducting the exercise. Their action worked. On January 29, Filatov issued a statement announcing that Russia's defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, had decided, quote, "as a gesture of goodwill to relocate the exercises by the Russian Navy planned for February 3 to 8 outside the Irish exclusive economic zone, with the aim not to hinder fishing activities by the Irish vessels in the traditional fishing areas," unquote. The Irish fishermen didn't just humiliate Moscow, they also put Western capitals' deterrence efforts to shame. And they did so by announcing asymmetric deterrence. The Irishmen would clearly not be able to sail to key Russian fishing waters to take revenge by harming fish there, and doing so would have at any rate been provocative. But they could go to their peaceful business in the Irish EEZ in such large numbers that the Russians would struggle to carry out their exercise. It was an action more creative than the threats Western governments typically think up, and that creativity created such a surprise factor that the Russians had to back down. So the article goes on a little bit more. It's a little lengthy, but I just wanted to get the gist of that across. So that's what we were talking about the other day when Jenny brought it up, and then it also came up last night during my appearance on the Dr. Kevin show, and then we just ran out of time. But that's such a cool story. And good for them. By the way, hello to Chris Rose from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Nemi says, badass. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we are at the top of the hour, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Eric Pilcher's classic film review. And this week, Eric reviewed In the Heat of the Night, the film starring Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger, a personal favorite of mine. Like I said, definitely in my top 5. This month, Eric is reviewing films appropriate for Black History Month, and I was thrilled when he told me he had chosen to do In the Heat of the Night. So let's check this out. I think you'll enjoy it, and then we will show some love to our amazing sponsors, and then we will be back with the remainder, well in hour number 2 of Matt Connarton Unleashed. So don't go anywhere. Plenty more to come.
On your feet, boy. I mean now.
Got a name, boy?
Virgil Tips.
Virgil. Where you come from?
There ain't no trains this time of morning.
I could have had you shot.
Skulls caved in. Could have been a hitchhiker.
Okay, I got him.
Where's my husband?
I thought I told you to get the hell out of here.
You aren't taking me anywhere, you dig?
You gonna get yourself killed.
I'm a police officer.
Look, they pay you $162.39 a week just to look at bodies. Why can't you look at this one?
Why can't you look at it for yourself?
I do not want that Negro officer taken off this case.
I need a few things. Such as ammonium hydrosulfide, benzidine, superoxide of hydrogen, copper powder, distilled water, calipers, and some toothpicks.
Why won't anybody here tell me what's happened to him?
Are you sure you're pregnant?
Yes, I am pregnant.
I can pull that fat cat down.
I'm afraid you're a little late, Virgil. We already got the guilty man.
May I examine this person?
Yeah, you can look at him. Come on, let him look.
He's left-handed, isn't he?
What's that make him?
Innocent.
I got the motive, which is money, and the body, which is dead.
You're holding the wrong man.
But don't you push me, boy.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
What kind of people are you?
Looking up
nurse. She's got $100 to pay for an abortion.
In the heat of the night.
1967 was a time of change for the United States of America. The country was still at war in Vietnam. Music was becoming an anthem of unrest, and racial tensions were high. All of these things were also being brought forth in motion pictures. This week's film is a taut, vibrant, suspenseful display of those tensions that will leave a lasting impression. Directed by Norman Jewison, In the Heat of the Night tells the tale of a murder in a small town. The man murdered is bringing a new plant to the area, and his wife pressures the city to find the culprit. This brings together an unlikely pairing with African-American Philadelphia detective Virgil Tibbs. Sidney Poitier plays him and delivers a dynamite performance, and bigoted police chief Gillespie, who is played by Rod Steiger, in his Academy Award-winning role. When these two first meet, we see the clash of Gillespie's Old South way of thinking and Tibbs' refusal to quote-unquote fall in line with the town's racist views. The first scene I will present is the first meeting between the two. And the second scene features Tibbs questioning Gillespie on arresting a suspect for the murder, albeit an erroneous arrest. This scene also features one of the most well-known lines in cinema history.
I was visiting my mother. I came in on the 12:35 from Brownsville. I was waiting to go out on the 405.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, you just killed yourself a white man, just about the most important white man we got around here, and picked yourself up a couple of $100.
I earned that money 10 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Colored can't earn that kind of money, boy. Hell, that's more than I make in a month. Now, where did you earn it?
Philadelphia.
Mississippi?
Pennsylvania.
Now, just what you do up there in little old Pennsylvania earn that kind of money?
I'm a police officer.
Oh, yeah. What? Yes. Did you question this man before you brought him in?
No, sir.
Do you mind taking a look at that? Yeah! Oh, yeah!
And now, our second clip.
The Verge here, Chief, he thinks that Harvey's innocent.
Well, I'll be damned. Could I talk to you about it in private?
No, you can't talk to me about it in privacy because I got Cobert's wallet right here in my hand. We took it from Harvey Oberst. You don't think he gave it to him, do you?
I don't know, but Oberst could have come along after the crime. Found it, picked it up. I don't know.
That's what the boy said he did.
Well, I'm sorry, man, but I say different.
Well, when I examined the deceased, it was obvious that the fatal blow was struck from an angle of 17 degrees from the right, which makes it almost certain the person who did it is right-handed.
So what?
Old Harv's left-handed, Chief. Everybody in town knows that.
Yeah, that's what we figured out, Chief. Harvey's a lefty, uh-huh.
Well, you're pretty sure of yourself, ain't you, Virgil? Virgil, that's a funny name for it, but it comes from Philadelphia. What do they call you up there?
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
Mr. Tibbs! Well, Mr. Wood, take Mr. Tibbs, take him down to the depot, and I mean boy like now.
I'll have the FBI lab send you the report on this. Not that it'll make any difference.
I'll take that.
Oh, you won't. I'm sending it in, personally.
My God. What kind of people are you? What kind of a place is this? My husband is dead. Somebody in this town killed him. I want you to find out who.
Even following this interaction, we find Tibbs still trying to get respect from this town, and he feels the only way he can do it is bring this murderer to justice. Even after the mayor demands that Gillespie work with Tibbs due to the aforementioned slain businessman's wife demanding he stay on the case under the threat of moving the factory from the town. This leads to the unlikely duo questioning a plantation owner named Endicott, whose racist views are on full display. Here, Tibbs stands up to him and, in a way, stands up to the town because Endicott holds the town's ideals and is a great poster child for those ideals. He slaps Endicott right after Endicott strikes him, and it's important to note the shock in Endicott's voice after it occurs.
Why'd you two come here?
To ask you about Mr. Colbert.
Let me understand this. You two came here to question me?
Well, your attitudes, Mr. Endicott, your points of view are a matter of record. Some people, well, let us say the people who work for Mr. Colbert might reasonably regard you as the person least likely to mourn his passing. We were just trying to clarify some of the evidence. Was Mr. Colbert ever in this greenhouse, say last night about midnight?
Gillespie? Yeah. You saw it.
Well, I saw it.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
I don't know.
I'll remember that. There was a time when I could have had you shot.
Better damn well clear out, and I mean fast.
What about that big speech you gave me this morning?
I didn't know you were going to slap any white man, least of all Endicott.
All right, give me another day. 2 days, I'm close. I can pull that fat cat down. I can bring him right off this hill.
Oh, boy. Man, you're just like the rest of us. Ain't you?
This is a film that truly deserves every accolade it has and will receive. It was nominated for an astounding 7 Academy Awards, in winning 5, including Best Picture and Best Supporting Actor, as I mentioned previously, for Rob Steiger's performance. Despite the wins, to me, Sidney Poitier was a glaring omission. He wasn't even nominated for his groundbreaking, rich, and powerful performance as Virgil Tibbs. This film has left a lasting impact on popular culture, the arts, and society. It spawned 2 sequels. It also ended up being a very successful TV series from the late 80s to the early 90s. To have this film as a starting point for Black History Month is a no-brainer. This film, to me, is flawless. Everything works and everything gels together. The music, the story, the performances, and the message all deliver and will leave a lasting impact on anyone who will watch it. I would like to invite everyone to join me next week as I review Steve McQueen's 12 Years a Slave as we continue our Black History Month theme for the month of February. For Matt Connarton Unleashed, this has been a classic film review with Eric Pilcher.
In the heat of the night, seems like a cold sweat creeping across my brow. Yeah, in the heat of the night, I'm feeling motherless somehow. Stars with evil eyes stare from the skies, all mean and bright. In the heat of the night.
Everybody, welcome back. We are well in hour number 2, numero dos of Matt Connarton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. It is Friday, February 4, 2022. And I hope everyone is safe and sound where you are. Here in New Hampshire, of course, it's quite a wintry mix, as they say, with snow and ice, and it's not good. Looks like they're doing a lot out here on Elm Street, certainly, to clear the roads, and I'm sure they're doing that all over the place. But I hope everyone's just be safe, take it easy, don't be in a hurry if you're out and about driving in this, and it should be all cleaned up overnight. They did declare, if you're in Manchester, they did declare a snow emergency again for tonight, second night in a row, as they work to clean all of this up. So if you're driving, which most of you listening are, please take your time. I do want to remind you, of course, we are proudly sponsored by the Hop Knot. However, don't go there this evening. They're actually closed today because of the weather, and I'm sure a lot of businesses downtown here have been today. So nasty out. But they probably wouldn't have been doing much business. I went over there earlier because the post office is in the same building, and we have for the business, we have a post office box over there. And man, there was just really hardly anybody downtown. So so the Hop Knot is closed, but they will be open tomorrow. So they've got the delicious gourmet pretzels. They've got the assortment of craft beer. Wonderful place. And I'm hoping to get Kenny in here on one of these days on a Monday. The Hop Knot is a Black-owned business, and it is Black History Month, and it'd be great to have a conversation with Kenny about that before the month is up. So, but he's a busy guy, so always trying to prod him into getting in here. But But we do love the Hop Knot. If you'd like to call us today, 603-250-6007 is the number, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connarton or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can always interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. It is Friday, so there's a lot that goes on here at WMNH 95.3 on Fridays. Coming up immediately after this show, as far as I know, he's coming in. Rob Azevedo will be here for Granite State of Mind. Great show every week. Usually he pops in a little bit early too, so we might see him in a few minutes. Usually comes in and sits in on the last 10 or 15 minutes of this program, and we have a conversation. So I always look forward to that. Rob's a great guy and a great host and does a great show. So Granite State of Mind coming up at 6 p.m. And then tonight at 7:30, the return of Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C. Paul was out for a couple of weeks with COVID, but he's back and he's ready. And really looking forward to seeing him. And, you know, it's been a couple of weeks. I've missed doing the show with him. So that will be tonight from 7:30 to 10 p.m. I am one of Paul's co-hosts on that show, along with Dan Ramblett and DJ Steve. I don't know what the status is of the other two gentlemen as far as being here, because the road conditions are not great, but, you know, we'll see. But I'll be here. And of course, Paul will be here, and we'll have a good time, irrespective of who else is here with us, but really looking forward to that. Also, of course, because it is Friday night, don't forget the Charles Richardson Show. Jenny, now for a few weeks, I believe, has been one of Charles's co-hosts on that show. That is online every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m. So you can check that out as well. Jenny does a great job on that with Charles and the gang. And so lots going on. Fridays are very, very busy. Speaking about these different programs, by the way, I did want to mention, just send out some condolences to Philip D. Blackman, who calls the show occasionally. He's also the host of the Philip D. Blackman Show, but he just lost his father. His dad passed away. So I just wanted to, mention that. And, if you're listening, Philip, hope you're doing okay. We communicated a bit earlier, but he did just lose his dad. So very sad about that. So he hasn't been able to do his show for the past week or so, because he was dealing with that, his dad getting sick and then passing away. So let's see. But if you'd like to get in with a call again, 603-250-6007. By the way, everybody in the Facebook live chat really enjoying Eric Pilcher's classic film review this week. The subject was In the Heat of the Night, one of my absolute all-time favorite films, and Eric does such a great job on those. That's become a very popular feature here on Matt Connarton Unleashed, so we always look forward to that. Let's see. There's we talked about that. Let's see. There's a few different things. There's a lot going on, and that's the nice thing about doing a show like this, where you talk about politics, is there's always a million things going on. You know what? We mentioned the Michael Avenatti thing. Let's put a button on that. Wayne Noel had shared a link for that in the chat room earlier. Let's see. Here it is. I'm not sure if this is the same link that Wayne did, but this is the one that came up for me. Yeah, thehill.com is reporting Michael Avenatti found guilty of stealing thousands from Stormy Daniels. Michael Avenatti, who represented adult film actress Stormy Daniels in a case against the former President Trump, was found guilty on Friday of stealing thousands of dollars from his one-time client. By the way, Rob Azevedo is here in studio. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Matt. How are you?
Very good, very good. The former attorney to Daniels, whose real name is Stephanie Clifford, was convicted of stealing close to $300,000 that Daniels was set to receive for writing her book, in which she discusses an affair she says she had with Trump. Trump denied the claims. Avenatti denied that he had committed any wrongdoing. He said in his closing arguments that, so he represented himself, that he was just being paid for his work and there was not sufficient evidence to prove he committed fraud. He said prosecutors had not proven the allegations against him, so he would not testify in his own defense. A judge approved Avenatti's request to represent himself during the trial after he said he had a breakdown with his defense from the Federal Defenders of New York. I guess that's an organization. It set up an unusual scenario in which Avenatti cross-examined his former client. Daniels hired Avenatti as she sought to get out of a non-disclosure deal regarding the alleged affair weeks before the 2016 presidential election. Avenatti's sentencing is scheduled for May 24, according to CNN. Well, he's rich and white. I'm sure he'll end up in Club Fed. But Michael Avenatti in a lot of trouble.
Dude. He's living on credit.
Yeah, well, he was already in all that trouble for trying to extort Nike.
Yeah, and he already did time, right, for that?
I believe he's been under house arrest. I don't know if he was actually in a federal facility prior to that.
I think he did. I think he did some months, but
probably
he's looking at that, and he's looking at another one right after Stormy.
Yeah,
he's got another suit coming against him.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he really. I was only half joking before I was talking about how I for a long time I thought that he was going to end up with his own show on MSNBC,
right?
Because he was on there like every night,
oh yeah,
talking about he had this, he had that on the Trumps and whatnot, and he really talked a big game. Oh, and I almost forgot, and then he announced his candidacy for the presidency, and then he ended up in prison.
He's gonna do a good amount of time, I bet you. 22 years is I don't know if he's gonna do 22 for the Stormy Daniels things, but he could.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We'll see.
Hey, what did you think about the GOP finally how they described January 6th today? What was it? A legitimate discourse, political discourse?
Oh yes. And when their censure of Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney. Yeah, pretty disgraceful. But not surprising.
You know, listening to Trump, you know how he was trying to rile up his people in Texas, like come and protest, if they try to convict me.
Yes.
I'm going to guarantee January 6th is not going to happen again. Not going to happen. Because I think that the nitwits who went and did that, right, busted in, I think that they're seeing that the government's just going to come and stomp you. And I don't really think that anybody's going to come and, hang out for Trump again.
I hope that you're right. I fear that you're wrong, but I hope that you're right.
I do.
We're
going to deal with.
We have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, it's Easy G. I got a question there for you, Rob Azevedo.
Talk to me, baby.
They come out with the list again for the 2022 Hall of Fame, and I can't believe it that I say this every year, but I don't seem to be the only one in his corner. They need to have Paul Schaefer go to the Hall of Fame. All the years he's helped out people, he's had his own bands, he's been the MC over there.
Yeah.
And he's been so much in the music industry. Of course, he had all those years of David Letterman being his band on the show.
I think he
never gets any recognition.
I think you're right, Ease. I think that maybe down the road.
What's your opinion?
I kind of agree with you. All those years with Letterman and all those musical acts that he supported. He also, I think he's run the Hall of Fame music, like the production, for many, many years as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he used to be the MC, yeah.
Yeah, the MC.
He always needs to get the shaft.
Yeah, I'm with you, though.
I don't know why.
Just getting the shaft for now, you know what I mean? You don't.
There's so many people in the Hall of Fame that, and I would think they would have a slot for him.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't. I hate to go through the list of people who are not in the Hall of Fame, and that's pretty wild. But, and yet the Foo Fighters. Are the Foo Fighters in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, I believe so.
That's utterly ridiculous. Way too early.
Really? You think so?
Utterly ridiculous.
Oh, I disagree.
I know that you're a big fan. I don't know, man.
I'm a casual fan, but I think they should be in. You really don't think so? Wow.
You think you're going to put Foo Fighters on the same list as Kiss?
Well, in terms of...
That's my 2 cents.
Thanks, E. Sorry. I'm getting all fired up now. I better take this coat off.
Well, no, Kiss should have been in long before they were. But
Sure.
But in terms of, Foo Fighters, probably one of the top 5 biggest bands in the world for at least maybe a decade and a half.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
To be that successful, yeah. Oh, yeah. They've got a lot of hits. They're one of those bands where it's easy to forget how many actual hit songs they have unless you look online and look at a list, and it's like, wow, they've got a lot of hits.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right. I'm not. I'm not a big Dave Grohl fan. I'm not a big Foo Fighter fan, and I like that kind of music too. But maybe that's just why I don't get it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think Grohl has a really great voice. I don't think he's an exceptional drummer. I mean, I think he's a good drummer. Definitely not an exceptional guitar player. I mean, is his lyrics that, I don't know. I'm just not impressed.
I think they should be in.
Yeah, well, I'm with you, Matt. You know music. You know music better than me. So
I don't know about that. I wouldn't.
I would.
But by the way, so this is from rawstory.com. This is what you were talking about, Rob. It says here, the Republican National Committee on Friday passed a resolution censuring Representatives Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger for participating in the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol riots. While the resolution censuring the two Republicans had been widely reported, the actual text of the resolution still managed to shock many journalists. Specifically, the resolution accused Cheney and Kinzinger of participating of participating in the, quote, persecution of ordinary citizens engaged in legitimate political discourse, unquote.
You're an idiot, all of them.
The sentence sickened MSNBC host Chris Hayes, who wrote on Twitter that, quote, the RNC resolution is actually considerably worse and more debased than I had anticipated, unquote.
Yeah.
The New Republic's Matt Ford was simply dumbstruck by the text of the resolution. He wrote, quote, nothing insightful or clever to add here, just that we're in an incredibly dark place and it's going to get worse, unquote.
No, it's going to get so much brighter when Trump, I really do think it's going to be unprecedented, but I think they're going to lock him up over the next 3 years.
Well, that'd be quite a sight.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure. Well, and it's easy to say I don't know, right? Because how on earth do you lock up a U.S. president?
Right.
You lock up that man. That's the most dangerous man in the United States. That idiot. That idiot from the 80s. That idiot from the 90s. That idiot from the 2000s with a horrible television show. And that idiot as a president.
When you say horrible television show, I just want to be clear. Do you mean
Apprentice?
But what about Celebrity Apprentice?
That's what I'm talking about.
Both?
I don't know. I'm not going to say, I don't know. I'm a big Stern fan.
Oh, me too.
He used to. Now, I know the Celebrity Apprentice did very well in the ratings, right? I don't know. See, he did the same thing on Stern. He would talk about how great The Apprentice was. No other show in the history of shows have ever. It's the exact same rapport that he did with as a president.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I say it enough, somebody's going to believe it.
Right.
And he'll believe it.
Yeah.
The show wasn't the greatest show in the history. It didn't have the highest ratings in the history of television, but he would say it over and over and over.
Right.
When he wasn't talking about all the women that he banged or how many different wives he's banged of famous celebrities.
Yeah. Well, he's good at marketing. That's his strength. He's good at marketing and branding of Trump. That's what he's good at.
Almost to his detriment. It's gonna bite him. Howard Stern said to him, I remember, he said, why are you running for president? This is gonna come back and bite you.
Yeah.
And it's gonna come back. New York gonna come back and bite him.
Yep.
I hope his kids get locked up. I hope he gets to watch those kids get locked up.
That would be something. That could be a reality show. Well, it'll just be on the news, I guess. But yeah. Hey, how was the drive over for you?
I don't think the DPW trucks are out yet. Pretty sloppy.
Yeah.
Really sloppy. Went slow. I left my house. I usually leave at 5. I said, I better get out of here about 20 of.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I got here early. I was lucky. So the drive over here was, when did I leave? Like 2:15. I usually don't leave till almost 3. I do because I do the bulk of my show prep at home. Mm-hmm. But when I drove over, it was the roads were greasy.
Yeah.
But as soon as I parked the car in the garage and I'm headed to the building, all of a sudden the freezing rain started up again.
Yeah.
So my timing was perfect. I got here right before that started again.
Yeah. What do you go over? Victory? You park in Victory?
Yeah.
That's nice. Doesn't even cost anything, does it?
It does, but I have a parking pass.
Oh, okay.
If you have a parking pass, it doesn't. But the station gave me gave me a parking pass. So, oh, that reminds me, there's a new key here for you.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was looking for that.
So, what do you have coming up on the show tonight?
Another new guest on GSM. First time guy named Sage Ryder. Now, my first question to this kid is, did you come out of the chute with that name? Because
it is a cool name.
Yeah, that's a cool name.
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
either going to be a cowboy or a rock and roll star. So, I saw a little video of him playing down at Strange Brew a few weeks ago, and I said, I got to get this dude. So, yeah, he's coming in, I think, with two of his buddies, and then he has a gig over at the Strange Brew tonight from 9 to 1. So, looking forward to meeting him and going to play some tunes, some new stuff. And what else? Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, Retro Spectrum Radio returns tonight as well.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. Paulie C, he had COVID, but so he was out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he called into the show the other day, he sounded great. So we're not sure if the other gentlemen who usually join us on Friday nights are going to be here or not with the driving conditions as such. But yeah, what ended up happening with your because I remember when we had that little ice storm there where everything just kind of froze like instantly.
I crashed.
Oh, I remember that. Did you get your car fixed? Or
You?
Oh,
I
okay.
just had them. Again, 320,000 miles on this car now, and I'm going to 400. I just had them bolt the bumper back on.
Yeah.
And I had them. They said, "Well, you have no real damage to mechanically." I said, "Okay, bolt the bumper back on. Let's go."
Yeah, because I remember you saying the insurance company tried to make you total it.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't even contact me and say they were coming to pick my car up to total it. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
No,
right.
this baby, you don't understand. We have history.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. By the way, hello to Charles Richardson in the Charles Richardson Show, from the Charles Richardson Show. That'll be on tonight, 7 to 9 p.m. online. Jenny is a co-host on that, although there seems to be some sort of, I'm not sure what's going on in the chat room with that. Whoa, boy. I don't know what's going on in here, or if people are kidding around, or if there's a legitimate beef. I'll have to look at that later.
Whatever it is, it's good radio.
Well, not exactly, because it's in the chat room.
True. Okay.
Did you hear, speaking of, did you hear Easy G's latest scandal, though?
No, I was going to just talk. I wanted some NHN rumor mill stuff. What's going on?
Yeah, so he was supposed to be, so he was on the show, must have been, Monday.
Uh-huh.
Monday, he was on my show. He hadn't been on in a long time, so he came on, and it was a surprise. Well, apparently, he was supposed to be on the morning show Tuesday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So Peter White, and that was supposed to be a surprise. So Peter, I guess, texted or messaged Eric and said, because I had posted something about we have a surprise today on my show. Mm-hmm. So I guess Peter saw that. So he messaged Eric and said, are you going on Matt's show today? And Eric said, yeah. And he's like, well, then you don't have to come on tomorrow on my show because it was ruining the surprise.
Oh, that must have crushed him.
And I wasn't even sure if, if Peter was serious or, if he was doing a bit. But apparently he was serious because Eric was not there Tuesday morning.
Oh.
Yeah. So he has a new scandal. So
does Pete not like him fraternizing with other shows?
It's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that. Because, Peter's not like that. But I think it just, it ruined the surprise. It was the return of Easy G. I mean, that's a main event in any arena in the country.
And how did he do? What did he have to, entertainment report?
No, he just came in and
hung out.
Yeah. We had a phone guest for the first hour and 15 minutes of the show. So then we took a break and then we got caught up with Easy G and, just a low key thing.
Yeah.
But I guess his appearance on the morning show was supposed to be a surprise, and he blew. He spoiled the surprise.
That's no good.
So we have a new scandal.
Easy.
And when you think of, it's almost hard to keep track of all of his scandals and public humiliations. You've got Taco Gate, you've got Tablet Gate.
Yeah,
those I think are the two biggest. I guess maybe this is ruined Surprise Gate or something. I don't know. I don't know exactly what to call it, but.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Now, when somebody, we have talked about in the past how when you get a radio spot, you hold on to it for dear life because there are so few.
Yeah.
The weekly Die On is done for now. Who is going to try to take that Thursday 6 o'clock slot? Is Gonzo gunning for it? You know he's gunning for it.
No, I don't think he is, and I'll tell you why. Because the rumor, now I haven't heard this from him directly, but I guess it's okay to say it because it's been spoken about openly on Peter's show. The rumor is he's moving to Texas.
Really?
Yeah, because his wife got offered a promotion or a transfer to Texas or something. So,
God, you build up all these years of Crete Stred over here at the station, and then that's a hit.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe Kyle Clayton will have his own show once a week.
Who knows, right?
I don't know.
Because now it's open, and there were no slots to take.
Right.
Yeah, who knows? But Ben did a great job, man. He was so thorough. He was very thankful to have me on the show a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
Did a great job.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. No, we'll miss him. And, it's not necessarily forever. I mean, he's leaving on good terms.
Oh, yeah.
So it's certainly possible that he'll be back. And, he did his show as a podcast before coming to WMNH. So in theory, I mean, I don't know if he's considered it. And I didn't get a chance to ask him the other day when he was here, but, he could always just do the show as a podcast where he's not on a set schedule.
Yeah.
Not doing it live every week, which might be easier for him to work in because he's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he clearly can't be here every Thursday. He was missing a lot of Thursday nights. So.
I wonder what they're going to fill that spot with. What are they going to put in there? Reruns for a while?
Or maybe nothing. Maybe it'll just be, more music or another replay of another show.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they'll give me a third hour.
Maybe. You could pull it off. That wouldn't scare you, would it?
No, not at all. I've done it a couple of times. There's been two instances. I don't remember why the first one happened. The second one happened because there was some sort of a mishap with Ben's show. And Peter said, "Do you want to do a third hour today?" Like he texted me during the show and said, "Hey, there's something's wrong. Like Ben had a replay, but it wasn't loaded into the system or something." And Peter said, "Do you want to do a third hour?" I said, "Yeah."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's easy to do with a show like this, because there's always plenty going on to talk about, you know, and a lot of political talk shows on terrestrial radio are 3 hours or even 4 hours.
You make it look easy, though.
Oh,
you and Pete, you really do. You make it look real easy.
Well, we're blessed with the skills, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's like I think I just find it easy because, like I said, when it's politics, there's always a million things going on,
Mm-hmm.
Sports talk is like that too. Like I think, I'm not a sports guy, but I've just noticed that that's also another talk radio format that lends itself to being able to, do a show.
You're always going to have something to talk about.
Right. Yeah. There's always something going on. I mean, maybe not so much when COVID was at its height in the beginning when they shut everything down. But even then these guys, these sports talk guys would still find ways to fill the time.
Yep.
Or not all guys, but there's Amy Lawrence who does a 4-hour sports talk show overnights. She's from New Hampshire.
Yeah,
Concord, New Hampshire.
Yeah, I've never heard of her. Amy Lawrence, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a podcast or a radio show?
No, radio show. She's on CBS Radio. I think she's on like 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. She does overnights. The only reason I know that is because I used to listen to, even though I'm not a sports guy, for a while I would listen to Scott Farrell.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
Scotty.
yeah. Oh, you do a good impression of him.
Yeah.
Kyle Heavey does a really good impression.
Oh, really?
Kyle nails him perfectly, but yours is pretty good too.
Yeah.
I used to love Farrell. And, when he was talking about sports, I didn't even, it didn't matter that I didn't know what he was talking about. I just loved listening to him. I could listen to him read the phone book and be entertained. He was so good.
I loved how he had music playing over the show the whole time. You know what I mean? Yeah.
He's fantastic. Oh,
Yep.
Nemi knows Amy Lawrence. Nemi Jones in the chat. Yeah. So I would hear the beginning of Amy Lawrence's show because if I was up late, I would listen to Scott Farrell.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I know about her. And then I found out, she's from Concord.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in Concord. I probably met her at some point.
You
yeah.
grew up, you go to Concord High? Or,
yes.
Yeah, very nice, man.
Yep. Oh yeah. I'm not a Manchester guy originally.
Me neither.
I mean, I've been here since 2014.
Yeah.
Well, we'll begin to wrap up because you've got your show coming up, and I imagine your guests will be arriving shortly, and you gotta get them set up and everything. Any news, by the way, on your venue?
Not yet. They're making a decision. I've got great counsel, and we just told them, hey, this is the deal, and we'll be waiting for your decision, and we'll assume if we don't hear from you by this date that it's a go, which is going to be a go.
Yeah.
Regardless. I mean, I don't think you can tell me whether I can have people at my house.
Right.
I'm not selling booze, not selling food, donation-based.
Right.
That's it. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
If they don't like the name of Pembroke City Limits, that's just the name of my barn. People name their boats. I just name my barn.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true, yeah.
So, but nothing yet. But for me, March 26th will be the first date, and we're going to be doing a Grateful Dead tribute show. It's a gathering, not a concert.
Right.
It's just a gathering,
Yep.
not a concert. Everything's going to work out. It's funny. I've been getting texts about that, and it's just going to go on.
Yeah.
Just got to work through this city stuff.
Yeah.
Not trying to make enemies.
Of course, yeah. Well, from what you told me too, it sounds like the town they're not being unreasonable. They're not.
No.
They're not like.
They saw an article, and they I understand. They read an article. They say, oh, he's got a music venue going on, and they probably thought I had booze and a whole like cash bar, and but I just wanted to do it under the radar so I wouldn't have to pay, which is none of I always pay my bills and my taxes. So no, I'm just having people in my barn.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. No, I'm sure it'll work out. No, that's good. That sounds encouraging. And what is the first show again?
Grateful Dead tribute show.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to do that. And I'm not even a big fan, but a lot of people are. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Great. All right. Well, that sounds good.
Thank you.
Well, everybody, make sure you stick around. Coming up next at 6 p.m. right here at WMNH, Rob Azevedo with Granite State of Mind. And then don't forget, tonight at 7:30 is the return of Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C. Really looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm glad I don't have to go anywhere for a few hours because I'm sure it's still, I can see it. It's coming down now. It's turned from freezing rain back to snow. Yay. If you missed any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org and at my website, MattConnarton.com. And thank you all. Rob is next, and I will talk at y'all, around 7:30. I'll see you then.